The ACJ exam is coming up in a few weeks, just around the corner. So in this video, we're going to talk about 7 tips to help manage exam anxiety, so you could focus, stay calm, and show up at your best. So let's get started. Hey everyone, it's Dr. Hafez here from Scholars Dental. I've been through the Canadian dental licensing exams myself, and I know firsthand how intense and stressful they could feel. Exams can be overwhelming, especially when your future and career depend on it. So, whether you're preparing for the AFK, the ACJ, or NDECC, that pressure could lead to sleepless nights, to stress, to self-doubt, and even burnout. So I want to share some strategies, some tips here that could help manage that anxiety so you could approach the exam with more clarity and calmness. And that's way you could give yourself the best chance at the exam, because with clarity and calmness, then you could deliver the best answers you have. Okay, so let's get started with the 7 tips. Tip number 1 on how you could manage the anxiety during your preparation for these exams, the NDEB exams, or any exam in general, but specifically these ones. It's an important one, and it's acceptance. And what I mean by that is accepting that the anxiety is normal with these exams. Okay? So it doesn't mean you're not ready. It doesn't mean that you're underprepared, even though you could be underprepared, right? But just having the anxiety doesn't mean anything really in terms of what your outcome would be. Even the students we know, the dentists that are going for the exam, the ones that are best prepared, the best performing ones, go to the exam with some anxiety. They feel the anxiety. So it's normal. The anxiety is just a signal that it's important to you. And that's a good thing. Anything worth pursuing usually is associated with some fear, risk, and anxiety. So when anxiety comes up, try to pause and remind yourself that this is normal. It just means this matters to me. And that awareness alone can help reduce the pressure and give you space to respond calmly. So just remember, it's normal. It's normal to feel this way. It's important to me. It's not because I'm underprepared. I'm not going to let it mess up my answering for the exam. So hopefully that helps. Let's get to tip number 2, is to have structure, and mainly with your studying. So structure will give you confidence, and uncertainty will fuel your anxiety. So the best antidote to that is to have a structured plan. Create a clear study plan, break your goals down by week, know what topics you're reviewing and when. Because when you follow a plan, you're not just guessing, you're progressing. You're going to make progress in a structured formula. You know what you're accomplishing versus kind of randomly studying from here, from there. That's going to fuel your anxiety. That's why a course really helps with that, because they have, a course will give you that structure. And at Scholars, what we do is with every course, we have a structured study plan that is designed to guide you week by week what to do, what pages to read, what videos to watch, what your tasks are. So you'll always know what to focus on and when. So tip number 3 is, what do you guys think? Simulating the exam environment, or the way we do it in our courses is through mock exams. So every course we will have mock exams. Like in AFK, we have 5 mocks, in ACJ, we have 5 mocks. So you don't just want to study, you want to train, you want to practice. It's not just about studying. You want to use a timer, sit at a desk, eliminate all distractions, practice under real exam conditions, and see if you could time manage yourself and how you would perform. This way, when the exam day comes, it won't feel like a new experience. It'll feel familiar. And this is very important so that in the exam, you feel more confident than anxious, right? Or you don't, or at least for you to not allow the anxiety to take over or the stress to take over. And in our mocks, we even say we simulate the exam with the length, with the timers, actual similar to AFK and ACJ environments. And this way, even bringing, new questions so that you feel the same feeling you would feel in the actual exam. So that's all stuff we do at the course at Scholars Dental in the mock exams. But basically, it's about simulating the exam. You could even do it yourself by just creating your own environment for these exams. So tip number 4 is, this is kind of more of in the moment one, very practical, but it's really controlling your breath. And this is when you're really feeling that anxiety feeling and the fear feeling, because anxiety doesn't just affect your thoughts, it also affects your body. And it could throw off your breathing, your focus, and even, most importantly, your ability to recall what you've studied. And remembering, answers, remembering, things I've already studied. If you're stressed out, you block that clarity and you can't access that information that you already know, which why maybe a lot of people that have prepared could end up failing if they don't manage that stress. So that's why it's important to, get used to controlling that anxiety with this kind of practical exercises. So a quick breathing exercise is like to inhale for 4 seconds, hold it in, and then exhale for 4 seconds. And this could help reset your nervous system and bring you back to the present and just calm you down. So practicing this regularly, not just on the exam day, trains your brain to recover faster from stress. So if you do this, just regularly when you feel anxiety, then at least if you're in the exam and you do get anxious, then you're doing this will help, and you've already done it before, so you're used to it. It's a practical tip just for in the moment kind of situations. And tip number 5 is the negative self-talk. To stop creating a negative environment around the exam and for yourself around your studying. Okay. And this has many layers to it, but I'm just going to, talk about one layer. So it's okay to think, what if I fail? That's a normal thought. And actually it's smart. Like in the beginning of your journey, you want to think, well, what if I fail this exam? What is my other option? What does my timeline look like in that case? Having that plan B will give you a sense of safety. And that's why in our consultations at Scholars Dental, when we do a free consult with a training dentist, we plan their roadmap and we draw them the best case scenario. But we also talk about, look, if this happens, here's your other option. Here's your other plan. Here's what could happen. And that's good to know at that point when you're doing the plan, right? So that's good, because we want you to be ready for whatever could happen. Now, once you set that plan aside, okay, and you're already working on your plan A, whether that's the AFK exam or you're going for the ACJ exam, okay, now at this point, you want to stop that negative talk. You want to just say, instead of saying something like, what if I fail? Oh my God, what if I fail? And you start feeling anxious. There's no point of that talk right now. What you need to do is, am I doing what I can do? I am doing my best. So I'm focused on learning this, and I'm going to take it one step at a time. I'm going to move at my own pace. I'm going to do what I can. Some people for the AFK, they could finish, they could pass it in 6 months. So others need 9 months, which, a lot of people enter onto a mastery course when they feel like they need 9 months, maybe because they're busy or they're working full time. Others need 12 months. And that just depends on your situation, right? And how much time you have. Same for ACJ. Some people could do it in 3 months. Some people need 6 months. So that pace, that as long as you know that you're doing your best, and don't overwhelm yourself with this negative, what if I fail? What if? At this point, you already set a plan for that. at this point, just keep it positive and just enjoy the learning process. And at least that way, you could approach the exam with the most calmness possible, which is the point of the video, is really to try to reduce that anxiety. Or tip number 6, don't isolate, or don't be isolated, let's say. Okay, so you don't want to be isolated, or don't isolate yourself. And doing this journey alone is just going to add so much more to the stress, because first of all, you'll be out of any new news that, kind of circulate. But at the same time, you don't know if you're on the right track if you don't really have others that are doing the same work, right? You don't know if you're doing enough, if you're doing too much or too little. And also, it just feels better to have other people when you meet others that are going through the journey with you. It makes a huge difference. Having a study group, having mentors that have gone through it, instructors that could tell you, yes, I've been through this thing. We know how that feels. We know the feeling of this exam. We're going to tell you how to navigate that. Attending the live classes that we run every week, all of this makes a huge difference. I've seen it change people's perspective on the exam. So being part of the community helps you stay grounded and supported, especially in the early and mid stages of the preparation toward an exam, where usually at the end, I do recommend that you now go on your own and don't mix too much with people, because sometimes towards the end, like let's say 1 month before the exam, that's when some people get really anxious, and that could be contagious. They start, making other people anxious for no reason. So it's good to have a support group in the, early and mid stages, but just getting closer to your exam, you've already kind of got the support energy. Now, the last month, you want to kind of focus on your own. You don't want anybody's energy to influence your energy, unless it's a positive energy, obviously. And also the people you surround yourself with, you have to choose that wisely as well. Make sure it's also a positive energy. You don't want to be around, individuals that have high stress, or also very negative. That could rub off on you as well. So it's a two-way thing. You don't want to be isolated. You want to have a support group. That's why joining a professional course where the instructors kind of put the tone and help keep the energy environment is important. But at the same time, when you're getting closer to the exam, you want to make sure you're not mixing with the people that will give you that negative energy at the same time. So it's a two-way thing. But I hope you get the point. That is tip number 6. And tip number 7 is respect your brain. Or in other words, take care of yourself, right? Sleep, eat. You need to recharge. Your brain needs fuel. Sleep isn't a luxury. It's essential. Get the right amount of sleep for that you need for yourself, whether it's 7 hours, 8 hours. If you're not sleeping well, figure out, what that is. Look into sleep hygiene tips on YouTube or something. Figure that stuff out. And that's always a work in progress. You're not going to perfect it in a day or two, but try to get the basics of it right at least. So also eating well and taking regular breaks. Remember, you're not a machine. You're a high performance thinker, yes, but because you're a dentist, but you're not a machine. In the weeks leading up to the exam, also another thing is that you could start mimicking the exam day routine. So what you think is going to happen on the exam day, try to do that in the few weeks leading up to the exam. So for example, if you're going to need to wake up at 6:30, start waking up at 6:30 so you kind of get used to it. Sleep and wake at the same time, eat the same breakfast, have a routine. That helps with the consistency. The more your brain gets used to the pattern, the more comfortable you'll feel on the exam day and less anxious you are. So those are the 7 tips. So what we could kind of conclude is anxiety is part of the journey, okay? But it doesn't have to control it. These strategies, these tips could help you stay grounded and focused through it all. They're not the only tips around, so I picked 7. If you have a tip that you think that works wonders for you, please share it in the comments below. I'm pretty sure everybody will appreciate it. Share it with the community, help each other out in this journey, and create and contribute to creating a positive environment for you yourself and for all the training dentists that are going through the NDEB process. If this video helped you, give it a like, share it with a fellow foreign trained dentist that's going through the process, or a fellow dental student that could benefit from it, and subscribe for more tips. I will be releasing a video that is more specific to the ACJ exam, so tips on how to increase your chance of passing during your examination in the ACJ. So stay tuned for that. And if you're preparing for the AFK, ACJ, or NDECC, visit our website, scholarsdental.com. We offer free consultations where we help internationally trained dentists that are going through the NDEB process. We help them map out their NDEB journey, so you know where you're going and what your options are, what your timeline is going to look like, how many years it's going to take you in your best case scenario, and in case something happens, how long it could take. We do that all in a free consultation, and we give you even a customized plan just for you. So you may even qualify for one of those today. So you've got this, and we'll see you in the next video.